Time to chew over the stories hitting the headlines this week. Our top team of newshounds is back and have each chosen a story that they would like to bring to your attention. It's up to me to decide which one will pack the biggest punch. Please welcome broadcaster extraordinaire Nick Ferrari, outspoken journalist Sonia Poulton and comedian and presenter Ian Lee. Welcome all. Right, so you've got a news flash each, and then we'll decide. Nick, yours is.
And no fat club in the office. This is the idea. Thank you, making up your own gags. This is the idea. The newish boss of NHS England quite rightly points to the amount of money that obesity is going to cost the nation. So his idea is that everyone who goes to work should join a jogging club or have mass weigh-ins. Truth is, thank you, millions of people go to jobs they hate to work for bosses they despise. The idea they'd all get on the scales and be shouted at for having an extra crunchy bar or finger of fudge is nonsense, and I'm not joining.
Right, well, I think that's one debate that's completely settled. Sonia, yes.
Well, my topic is, have teachers gone soft? And this is based on the idea that this week the head of Ofsted will be blaming disruptions in the classrooms really on the fact that he says that teachers have gone too soft and are unable to really calm the pupils. And I'm saying absolutely not. We blame teachers for everything, and it's time to look at the bigger picture.
Right. Ian, yours.
Alan, the story I've chosen this week is police denied data access. This is Apple, of course, the internet and software giant. The police have been asking them to give data on people, and Apple have said, we can't do it, and A, we don't want to. And I kind of agree with them. I think that our data, if we use it on telephones and computers, it should be private, whatever the argument. I'm not buying it. You can't have anything to do with me, please. Thank you very much.
A difficult choice, this. I'm with Nick. I mean, I think most of us would probably side with you. So I think the one I'm going to go for is Sonia's. Have teachers gone soft? Is that a good one? Have teachers gone soft? Absolutely blinded with indifference. Well, let's see if we can prove you wrong. So, teacher, you're saying, Sonia, that you don't think teachers have gone soft?
No, I think it's really unfair. I think what's happened these days is that the classrooms, unfortunately, are like a dumping ground. We are expecting teachers to teach our children everything, from good manners to sex education. And it's wrong. It really is wrong. It's time that we stripped it back. The school should be about an education, but more importantly than that, these teachers are not being supported. Teachers are being beaten up in the classrooms, they're being abused, and the truth is that the management are not looking after them appropriately, and that's a problem.
Is this the case, Ian, is this a case of parents expecting teachers to do their parenting for them?
I think there's an element of that. I think that by the time kids go to school, 4 or 5, they should know how to sit at a table and eat their food. They should know how to be polite. They should know how to say please and thank you. So I think a lot of it does go back to bad parenting. But interesting you said that they shouldn't be teaching sex education at schools. Some parents don't have a clue how that stuff works.
I didn't say that. I said that's what they're expected to do.
Well, that's what they're expected to do.
Isn't that an oxymoron? Some parents don't have a clue how sex education... They must have a clue.
I don't think some of them have quite worked out what goes where and how they're doing it. But I don't like this thing. There are lots of people who think that teachers should be firmer and they should stricter, and there's nothing wrong with giving the kids a clip around their ear. Of course there is. You shouldn't be hitting children. If you hit someone that's smaller than you, you've lost the fight instantly. And I think teachers have a really, really tough job. And I think a lot of it goes back to the parents.
Nick?
I like Ian, but unfortunately on this occasion he's talking a lot of school gymnasium medicine balls. What we need is more discipline in our classrooms. Not necessarily striking the child, but it is truly ridiculous now. There are 700,000 pupils just in English schools who disrupt classes, right? Well, if you factor in that maybe the classes have 30-odd children with them, this is like an epidemic of children who can't learn. Because if the class is disrupted, they won't learn anything. I agree with you, we need to give teachers more powers, but this idea there shouldn't be discipline. There should even be a degree of fear. Because the generation that I was in at school, we had a degree of fear. We certainly respected our teachers. We knew they were there to learn, and now it's completely changed.
You can't... There should be respect. There should definitely be respect, but you can't educate young people through fear. You can't do it by fear. It's a terrible way of doing it.
There's some disagreement out there. They seem to think you can. It's been education by fear for quite a long time before that.
And look at them. I didn't mean that.
Isn't respect the kind of acceptable face of fear, if you
But
like?
there's a bigger picture here. The truth is that people often become disruptive when they're bored. We need to look at what we're teaching our children, and we need to... No, we do, Nick. We definitely do. And the truth is that a lot of that curriculum... When was the last time you went into a school? Because my daughter's just left, so I'm talking from the front line. And I know for a fact that these children are bored. I am not excusing bad behaviour. There is no excuse for bad behaviour whatsoever. But we need to make things much more real life.
Part of school will be boring. Part of life is boring. Get over it.
Yes,
sometimes
it
learning algebra is boring. It's part of life. It's not always an entertainment
Let's make it
atmosphere.
real life. When was the last time you used trigonometry in your real-life work situation? You don't need it. Let's teach them real-life skills.
Can I let Nick, what would you do? You know, corporal punishment, quite rightly, as you say, is that.
Yes.
So how do you maintain that kind of discipline? What's the practical answer to this? How do you do it?
I agree we need to give more powers to school governors. They are undermined. Well, often there are exclusions, and then the parents go racing off to the local authority, whether it be the local borough or county council, and then they're so riven by a lawyer's letter, instantly the child comes back. You often see these stories. They're not wearing the right sort of dress, they're not wearing the right sort of shoes, their hair's too long. They become heroes. They completely destroy that school
Aren't
because
we
all
talking
order is
about
gone.
yet another instance of society being affected by law and the fear of litigation? Ian, is this something that's governing everything we do now?
I remember when I was at school many, many years ago, one of the great fears was being suspended or expelled, and it does seem that you can kind of appeal against that too much. But I was disappointed that I wasn't going to be on with the Muppets. But hearing Nick Ferrari today, it turns out that perhaps I'm on with one already.
It's quite interesting to be in the middle of these two.
Listen, and also, while I would never condone disruption, there's nothing wrong with being a little bit naughty at school, is there?
Very briefly, explain to me, if I'm wrong, how come is it the last 20 years we have seen Britain's place, and I say Britain's place in educational league tables slide down? We are now lower than Albania, and it's continuing to slide, and it must be stopped.
The classrooms are too big. They're pulling back money from teachers, and they're making teaching assistants teach the classes. So these are very real problems that we need to be dealing with. The truth is, let's stop blaming the teachers. Let's look at the management, where the money always goes as usual, instead of rather into teaching. And honestly, Nick, you know, some of your ideas, they really do belong to the Middle Ages, with all respect.
But they seem to work. We seem to have turned out people who did better in league tables, and ultimately, education has to be about teaching the child.
League tables is the problem.
I'll just stop you there. League tables are the problem. I don't think anybody would argue very much with that one thing. My thanks to Ian, to Sonia.
Before we move on... I'm surprised there's one headline we're not discussing, which is in the papers today. Alan Titchmarsh, I expose you. You have a new role coming up. You're going to be the wind in wind... You're going to be the wind... You're going to be the wind in the willows at the Olivier... It's an Olivier win at the Vaudeville Theatre starting on the 26th of November as narrator. Get your tickets now, I understand.
I'm not allowed to say that.
I am. 26th of November, Vaudeville Theatre. I've always said Alan is full of wind. Silence.
Thank you very much. I shan't be dancing. My thanks to Ian, Sonia and Nick. Thank you very much indeed. 20 quid now. Still to come.